Hey everyone, happy Sunday and welcome to week 5. Boy, we are cruising right along and you are going to be done soon. So I wanted to provide a video so that you would have a little more direction on our work this week. So I'm going to start with the to-do list that I posted on Moodle. And um, the first thing that you're going to be doing for class week 5 is you're actually going to be looking at each other's backwards design template that you turned in this week and giving each other feedback. And I'm going to put a just a list of suggestions in the Google Drive for things to think about when you're reviewing your peers' backward design template for you to kind of check through as you go through it. But I want you to make comments on their Google document. I will also give feedback on those as well. So you may do it after I've given feedback or before, but what I want is for you to just give feedback to one person. And so if you open somebody's and you see that one of your classmates have already provided feedback, you can move on to somebody else's so that each person gets some feedback and you don't do, more people don't do a single one. So that's your first task, is to do the feedback. I'll have the checklist up in the Google Drive by Monday at noon on the 20th. So you should be able to get to work on that. And then your assignments for this week is you're going to start working on planning your mini STEM unit. So taking that backwards design template that you worked on this week and now using it to write up your lesson plans. So if you look at our Moodle site and you look under the project STEM design, you'll see that there's some web resources that you can take a look at. So ideas for STEM integration in K through 12, but there's also some documents that you're going to take a look at. So you're going to use this modified lesson plan template that you're going to actually write your lesson plans with. So I'm going to show you what those that looks like. And there's some red type in here that might give you some hints as to what to include. So you should have 3 lessons that you're going to use, and a lot of you could use your PLT lesson that you modified and extend that into a 3-lesson unit, or you can choose a completely new topic to do your STEM unit on. But each of the 3 lessons has to be completed using this template, and this should be somewhat familiar to you. This is the EdTPA template modified for science. I wouldn't worry about these reflection sections because you're not going to teach this. So you don't need to complete that. But every other section will eventually be completed in your final draft. So remember, this week we're just getting started. We're going to try to work on a draft. You may have sections that you have no idea yet how to complete or you're not sure. We will talk about that in our Zoom session next week, but I want you to at least get started on it and start figuring out what you don't know, so that you can be prepared to ask questions. The other thing that I want you to take a look at is the STEM attributes matrix. We looked at that. So this tells you what kinds of things should be included in your STEM unit. So keep that in mind as you're planning. So as you know from the backwards design template, you should have science, engineering, and math, and literacy standards. So you should have at least 4 standards, and you should have at least 4 big ideas and essential questions that you put in your backwards design. That should help guide your lessons. And then you're going to take your learning targets from the backwards design and you're going to use those as your learning targets in your lesson plans. So those have to be condensed into 3 lessons. So that is the plan for the STEM unit. And again, you're getting started on it. You're going to have questions. That's what our Zoom meeting is for on Tuesday. You'll get feedback on your backwards design templates that you'll be able to incorporate. The other thing that I want to make sure that you plan, so this is kind of the next step. Once you have your learning targets, the next step in backwards design is you're going to plan your assessments. So now that you know what your goals are for the unit or what you want your students to get out of this unit, now you have to decide, how am I going to collect evidence of whether they're making progress or they've reached that target. So you need to write up just a list of your formative and your summative assessment for your unit. You should have at least 2 formative assessments for lesson 1 and 2 formative assessments for lesson 2, and at least 1 for lesson 3, and then a summative assessment. One of your formative assessments for lesson 1 could be a pre-assessment, or, soliciting prior knowledge. So that could be your very first assessment. But I just want you to put those in a document, describe each of them, and talk about what evidence you are actually collecting from your students to make sure that they're making progress towards and have met the goal at the end of the unit. So that document is due separately, and that's due on Moodle on Sunday at midnight. That's just for me to make sure that you are getting that alignment so that your standards, your learning targets, and your assessments all align, which is one of the ways that I will be evaluating your unit. So just remember, this whole next week and into the last week, you'll be drafting these, and I'll be giving you feedback. So both on the design template, the backwards design template, and your assessments, and then also on the mini unit draft. These will be graded if you do a fair amount of work towards it, you'll get full points, with lots of feedback on how to finish up and prepare for your final drafts that will be due at the end of week 6. The very last thing is we have a discussion post for week 5, so you're going to choose your favorite resource from your STEM practices portfolio, and you're going to post a description of it in the discussion post under week 5, and how your classmates might access that resource. And that's due by 7/26 or Sunday night at midnight. You do not need to respond to each other's, but we may, if we have time, we may actually share those on the 28th Tuesday when we meet for Zoom. And so that's your work for this week. We're building steam, working hard towards that final unit. You're going to be pulling all the stuff that you've been learning about STEM and discussing it and NGSS and lesson planning, and you're going to pull it all together to build a 3-lesson mini unit. So I hope that's exciting. It's exciting for me to see what you come up with. Again, you can do this individually. You can work with a partner on this and do a collaborative unit. You can take your project learning tree work that you did adapting the project learning tree lessons, and you can expand on that or extend that to actually do this 3-lesson unit, or you can choose a completely new content for this planning. So good luck with that this week, and I'll miss you on Tuesday, but we'll be in touch. Email me if you have any questions, and we'll work it out. In the meantime, have some fun and think about how you can engage your students in really hands-on science.